And do the recording.
Okay,
All
hello
right.
everyone. Hello everyone. My name is Tanisha Ramsey. I am an author, a speaker, and a life coach. My background is registered nursing. I'm a CEO of A Plus Healthcare Partners. Well, former CEO because I just decided because of COVID to let that company go and pursue my dreams of being a full-time speaker. So I'm super excited about the transition that I'm
Wow.
able to reinvent myself.
Awesome.
And yes.
Tanisha, it's a pleasure having you here on my show. This is awesome. I mean, I was thinking for quite some time and looking at your background, being an author, and tell me about your book, what is this book about and what inspired you?
Yeah, so my book, I have two books out right now at the same time, but one of
Wow.
them is called Daring to Love. I actually have a copy right here. This is what it looks like, Daring
Wow.
to Love. And you can find it on my website at tanishanow.com, or you can go to my publisher, wordy.com. But
Wow.
Daring to Love is a memoir. This is really my heart poured out onto pages because I felt like shame and guilt had held my voice hostage for way too long,
Hmm.
like it does many of us. And
Hmm.
so it's a memoir, it's a true story. When I was 17 years old, my mother was going to commit suicide in front of me because my father had betrayed her. And she was so heartbroken over that affair that she was going to commit suicide. And I walked in on that. I was an active participant in it, as far as an unwilling participant. Um, my mother, she called me into the room and asked me to call my father and ask him to come back home. And when he said he wasn't coming back home, I turned around and she had a gun pointed to her head. And
Wow.
I was partly in shock, but I moved fast enough to get on my knees and just wrap my 17-year-old arms around her legs. And I begged her not to pull the trigger. I told her if my dad already left, who would I have if she left? I'm the only child. And so she listened to me and God answered my
Wow.
prayers. And she didn't,
Wow.
yeah, she didn't commit suicide that day, but what died in me was my trust and faith and love. I thought if my father could betray my mother and he was my hero, that there was no chance for true love. And so
Right.
I, yeah, decided I would never give someone that much power over me.
Wow, that sounds so powerful. I have to love to read that. I can't wait to, just go and get that book.
Yes,
Wow.
thank
So
you.
tell me about, how did you start learning about writing a book and how did you get into that and what was that, the process that, I mean, writing a book is of course not easy. It's like a very tough job. How did you come up with the idea and where did you learn? You got some formal training?
No, actually, I've always loved writing.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, it definitely was cathartic for me. I didn't realize that when I wrote, I really would just pour out my heart onto the pages. And when I express myself in writing, I always say writing is the most beautiful thing because you can write and your thoughts are uninterrupted by another human being. It's just your thoughts on paper, right? You don't have to worry about someone interrupting you. You don't have to worry about if you're saying the right thing or not. And so it really became therapy for me. And when I was in college, actually at Temple University, because I'm originally from West Philadelphia,
No.
um, yeah, I wrote a small autobiography in my freshman year. And my teacher, my professor, she loved it. And I actually said at that time that one day I would write a book. I never thought my life journey would be, the pages of that book. But it was something when I shared my story with some of the community members in speaking to make millions with Lisa Nichols. Um, they asked me, well, what's your story, Tanisha? And so when I told them that piece that I just told you in the audience earlier, the piece that you don't know is that 25 years after that event, I still wound up with a gun to my head, but this time it was going to be a homicide because my ex-husband was going to kill me over an affair. The very thing that I was trying to run away from in my life is the very thing that I wind up creating in my life.
Wow.
Yes. And so it was like, it was almost like, you know, I was standing still asking God, please help me, please. And God told me in that moment that you're not being the daughter I created you to be. Stop running
Wow.
from love. Stop running from love. And so when I said I was sorry, my husband at that time dropped the gun. And I began to tell him how I was afraid to give someone my full heart. And I lived my life in a lot of fear. And so that's what I talk about in my book, how to overcome that fear, how to unshield your heart.
Wow. Now
Yes.
that sounds like very powerful. Incidents in your life that kind of turn you around, and something that you wanted to avoid. You ended up getting yourself into that situation. Wow, that's like very powerful situation, and coming out of that, that reminds me. I remember that I had faced similar kind of situations back home when my father was, in business with some of his, cousin who was a partner, and that guy took that money and kind of went somewhere, and it was us who were facing all that creditors, and there were like so many times that I was like on that, gun pointing at my head. So I know what you're talking about when the gun is right on your head.
Yeah.
I know. It's not an easy time. It's a very tough time. So tell me about, your other book. You said that you have written that, or is it?
Yes, it's right here. Actually, it's
Wow.
called 911.
Oh,
No more
wow.
fear. Yeah.
Wow.
And this is actually a poetry book. Uh, when I'm writing in my prayer closet, at that time, I'm able to just release those feelings that I have of insecurity. I'm able to hear from God directly, and He really just downloads those thoughts in my head, especially about fear. One of my first poems was called No More Fear. Um,
Wow. I want to hear that poem. I want my
you want to hear
audience.
No More Fear?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to hear that, because I think my audience would certainly like to enjoy that. Please go ahead and.
Sure.
Go
I'd
ahead.
love to. So, no more fear. Today, I'm rebuking every spirit of fear that dares to come anywhere near my hemisphere. See, I was born to do great and mighty things. It's time to shine, let go, and spread my wings. No lesson God's taught has went unheard. That's why I'll be first, not second or third. To give you all the glory, it's my heart's true desire. No matter how long this process, I will not wither or tire. You've given me the strength to always get up. Your call for my life could never be too much. In my spirit, this scripture is wired. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom much is given,
Much as.
much is required. Teach me, Lord. Show me who I really am. No more hiding. I don't want to pretend. Lord, if you're calling me to preach, teach me what I should say and to whom I should speak. Give me the courage, confidence, and the knowledge to help my brothers and sisters break out of bondage. Muzzle insecurities once and for all. Help us, Lord, to be bold and stand tall. With you, we could never fall. Resting in your loving arms where we belong. When I feel weak in you, I'm more than strong. It doesn't even matter how many things I've done wrong. The past is over. I'm washed with his blood. My faith's like Noah's, and there is no flood. It's time to raise an army of women from the well. No devil can hold us. We won't burn in this hell. We're rising up to become the daughters our Father created us to be. One touch from you, Lord, and we will live to fulfill our destiny. The fear is dead. We stomped on its head. No shame can hold us. Only God can mold us, shaping me into who he created me to be. I'm done playing games, spending time with the enemy. See me, I've been given authority. And right now, devil, I command you to flee. Get your filthy hands up off of me. You can't live inside of me. You won't stop my destiny. For I am free, not just today, not just tomorrow, but for my God's eternity. No more fear.
Wow,
Thank
that's so
you.
powerful. That's so powerful. And it talks about, it talks about that you're kind of connecting to the faith. I mean, that is so strong. That is, I mean, and it talks about, because I love poetry. I mean, I have read English literature, and people like Lord Gordon Byron. Have you heard of Byron?
No,
And oh,
I'm new to
Byron,
poetry. I've never written poetry in my life. When I
really
got saved on 9/11 of 2016, that's why my title is 911, because I do believe it was a spiritual emergency why God saved my life, took and called my life to him on 9/11. I had never wrote poetry. I had never been into poetry. I've been a registered nurse for the last 17 years.
amazing. But
And
you
so
are
that's been my focus.
naturally talented. I mean, I remember, Byron has written "The Prisoner of Chillon" as one of his poem, and since I am into kind of poetry, and he talks about my hair are gray, but not with years, nor grew it white in a single night, as men have grown with sudden fears. My limbs are bored, though not with toil, but rested with a wild repose. And mine has been the fate of those for whom this goodly earth and air are banned and barred forbidden fare. But this was for my father's faith. I suffered chains and courted death. My father perished at a stake for tenets he would not forsake, and same for his lineal race in darkness found a dwelling place. We were six, we were seven, but now are one, six in youth and one in age. So this was just like a little part of that poetry. So I
Beautiful.
can, Byron is something that I really like. Anyway, so this is the second book that, and what are you planning to take your life from here? I know you're with Les Brown, with me, and with John Tellerico. Are you with John Tellerico also?
Yes, I'm with John as well. Yeah. So
Okay. So we are
I'm
together.
excited. Yes, yes. To being coached by some of the best in the world that's ever
Right.
done it. I'm ready to go to the next level. I've taken myself as far as I can go by myself. That's why it's so important for you and your audience members to know when you have reached your highest point and now you need someone to pull you up to the next level. Um,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And let me ask you, what are you planning to, how you're planning to coach and train and do all that kind of stuff?
So I actually have a show getting ready to launch that's top secret. The launch date hasn't even been announced yet.
Okay.
Uh, but my television show is going to be called She Thrives Now,
She
because
drives now.
she thrives now.
Oh,
Yes.
she thrives now. Okay.
Yes, yes, because we have all survived. We survived the storm, but now it's time to thrive in the rainbows of life. It's time to
Wow.
paint those different pictures of those experiences and paint them with bright and beautiful colors, knowing that everything that we've been through is now a result of who we are today, and that
Wow.
yeah, if we wouldn't have went through those storms, there would be no rainbows, right?
Right,
Because you can't
right.
have rainbows with no cloud, with no storm.
But
And so,
the great thing about you is that, I mean, although we are not over with the COVID, but you are looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. You're so optimist. I mean, I love that.
oh, yes. I believe that God is revealing his children in this season, and he's making a way out of no way. I just found out last week, I think I shared with the group that I'm expecting. I'm pregnant now, which is a whole nother miracle because I don't have a tube, I don't have an ovary. One side is completely gone. And I'm 47 years old, and I was always told that I would
Oh boy,
never
you
have.
look like 18 years.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's I love thank you so much.
Right.
You're too kind.
No,
But
you,
yeah,
I mean,
now
you look very young. Seriously. I mean, I
thank
know it's a compliment, but I mean, I'm telling you the truth.
thank you.
Yeah.
My grandmother lived to about 84 years old, and she didn't have any wrinkles at 84. I'm African American, but I also have Mexican in my family. My great grandfather was
Hmm.
Mexican. His last name was Carrillo. And yeah, so those two cultures combined gave me some
They
great
give.
skin.
Wow, wow. And you know, they say that if you drink warm water, you get like the glow on your face, and you get like less wrinkles also. So that can also be like, you can try that too. I mean, although you're pretty
I
good,
add
but
that to
you
my
don't need.
regimen. Yes, I'll add
Okay.
that. I've been drinking a lot of tea lately just because of COVID and just allergy season and all of that. Just I have asthma, so to keep my lungs nice and dilated,
Right.
drinking warm things that are warm, help with that as well. I never knew that it was helping keep wrinkles off my face. So hey, there we go.
There was, yeah, that's true. There is, like, I remember that, I do like retreat trainings, and in some of these retreat trainings, I train people like for 4 days not to eat, just barely eat and survive, so that we can, think and work and like take the life to the next level. I was just thinking that to start that training here in US, but anyway, I'm just working on it. But tell me
Awesome.
about your training and coaching. Although you're starting your new program on TV, and I mean, is it coming on like
It's going
uh,
to be on
uh,
a digital media platform like the digital Amazon Prime. I can
okay,
do, yeah, I can host show Roku, and all of it is in the making now. I'm going to have uh, give opportunities for especially our community to be on my show and to actually give them a chance when I get my own channel to give them a show on my
invite me
channel.
on that too, please.
Okay,
I'm I'm
yes.
I'm a part of your community.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely, I will. Yes, I
Yeah.
want to have a diversity filled community where it's all different perspectives, looking at life, looking at trauma, looking at the things that we've overcome, looking
Right.
at first and foremost the things that God has brought us through. Because I do believe in this season that God is revealing his children. I'm also in the beginning phases of starting a training center for women to learn how to thrive in life,
Wow.
leadership
And tell
skills.
me about that. Tell
Yeah,
me a little more about that.
yeah, so they're going to be taught leadership skills, resume building, interview skills, dress, how to dress for your interviews, how to ask the right questions, how to even thrive in relationships, how to have communication that's productive communication and not toxic communication, how to detox from old ways of thinking and reprogram your mind to think about those positive things that you want to happen in your life. A lot of us have went through survival stage and now we survive, but it's time to thrive. And that's what I believe is my calling, because I have survived so much. now I'm willing to, I want to help someone else. I want to pull someone else up. It's not about me anymore. Like, I got the CEO title behind my name. I got the master's degree. I got my own business, the highest titles that I could have in corporate hospital administration. I got the six-figure salary. I'm ready to take it to seven, but none of those things matter anymore. Those were the things that I chased for validation because I was insecure in who I truly was and I didn't know
Mhm.
my own identity. Now that I know that I'm a child of God and I'm his daughter, it doesn't really matter. Those other things don't validate me. He is the
Right.
validator. And so I want to help other women get to that space where they free themselves from shame and guilt that often stops us from moving forward because we don't think we're worthy to have an abundant life and have everything that God has in store for us.
Awesome, awesome. I teach leadership, and I think I have definitely. I'm planning to go back to my country in just coming weeks, and I need to see my father and my family there. And I'm planning the time that I'll be there. I'm planning to kind of work on something that you're talking about, on the women cause, and I'm glad I've learned that this is something that you're doing, and probably I can arrange some sort of a workshop or a training or something that you can, maybe talk to them, and we can work on some of the details later.
I
But
would love that. I would love
yeah,
that. I think God is bringing his children together so that we're stronger together. So we
right,
have to get out of this mindset of I've got to do everything alone and start bringing like-minded people,
right,
like-minded spirits
sure.
together so that we can make a difference all over this world. We can touch more lives. The word says that one can call 1,000, but two can call 10,000.
Oh,
So
wow.
imagine,
Yeah,
what all of
right.
us could do when we get together.
And I think it's the most important thing is like empowering others, how we empower others, and not only empowering others but empowering ourselves in the process. And I was kind of, I'm always looking at something that can, the only thing that can give pleasure in life is when we are helping others. And in the process of helping others, we get help too. But since I was just talking before your podcast, I was talking to Yashika. She was with me on that podcast, and I was just saying that, in my life, I was like always thinking that it's probably my goals in my life and my, money and dreams and all that kind of stuff. But I realized that the really achievement comes when, like Les Brown says, that when you start serving others,
Yes.
when you start giving to others unconditionally. When you are giving to others, the universe kind of pours all that, into your bag too, without you even realizing, or me realizing, or anyone else realizing that. But since we as humans don't have that abundance mentality, and that abundance mentality is like something that we got to start throwing, we got to start reaching out and start giving. Because when we give, we get many folds back. And there
Yeah.
comes a time, but then that giving has to be with like no condition.
Right. Yes.
If we're thinking that, oh, what I'm going to get, I'm giving, then it's like a different thing. So I really admire, I mean, what your plans are, and how you're
Mhm.
thinking about it, and you're taking life to the next level. And tell me about, like, you have written about that, how the ego part, you know haunts us. And give me an idea about that ego part.
Well, when I became really successful in my nursing career and I got up to my six-figure salary, I had my corner office, I had a husband and the two kids. When I got to that level, I really became a bully to my old self. I really looked down on the one the part of myself that made the poor decisions, that did a lot of self-sabotaging, that was an exotic dancer because I used to dance at a club. So I was very ashamed that I had to go to work every night and drink just to be in that space, trying to mask the filth and the shame that I felt for being in there, when I could have easily just went back home. But my pride, I had a very big ego. My pride wouldn't allow me to say, I was wrong, mom, dad, and I really need to come back home because I can't do this out here on my own the right way. Yes, I could do it, doing whatever I had to do to survive, but I really didn't have to put myself in that situation. And so the more successful I got, the more I wanted to distance myself from that part of me that I was ashamed of. And so I became my own biggest bully, asking myself, why did you have to do those things? And what if somebody finds out that you used to do this or you used to do that, as if the things that I accomplished weren't accomplished by me. Right? Like I wasn't some imposter. Yes, I made those mistakes. I made those poor choices, but I also bust my behind, went to school, got my degree, kept moving up the career ladder, and did everything that I had to do to keep a roof over me and my children's head, and walked away from abusive relationships. And so I say now we have to be able to look in the mirror and accept every piece of our life. And now when I look in the mirror, I love every part of me. I love that girl that was on her knees begging God to help her in some way. And that, God comes to those who are brokenhearted. So he mended my heart, right? And then I got arrogant about the fact that my heart was mended, right? I wasn't in that survival stage anymore. And so when I got out of that survival stage, I act like I didn't need God in my life as much as I did when I was on the floor crying, begging, asking him, how can we pay the rent this month? And so we got to be very careful about how, when we transition to next levels, how we look at our past. Everybody has periods in their life of brokenness.
Right.
But it's what you say about your brokenness. Today, I say my brokenness is beautiful. My brokenness is what's kept me closest to God. It's what gives me empathy and compassion towards others. My brokenness is what is beautiful about my spirit. I'm humble. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I don't judge other people. That's what my brokenness did for me. And so I no longer look at brokenness like it's something dirty or something to be ashamed of. It's something that's beautiful. So what are
Wow.
you saying about your brokenness? Because you have it, but what are
Right.
you saying?
See, you remind me of, I always talk about Rumi, one of the sage and a mystic and a great storyteller. And I just happened to translate his book, in my native language. And there are more than 100 of stories that he talked about. And I'm planning to kind of make programs on that because I've translated that book, and something that I'm going to talk about that. But and Rumi says that, when you remember God, it's God who first remembers you, and your remembrance is an answer to his remembrance. So do you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Like,
I
if
definitely
you
know what you're
remember
saying. Yes.
God, God
Mhm.
was the first one who remembered you. So I can see that connection there, that, you kind of coming back to God, but then God wanted you there. And your reply, and some people don't even get that reply. Some people don't even link their life to God, and you did come back. So that is like your conscientious was, you know, uh, God probably liked you. And of course, I'm pretty sure that God loves you. And the reason is because now that you are doing what you are supposed to be doing, as a godly person. So all these things that happen on the journey to reaching to that point, that does not matter. It's the Rumi again says that it is the soul that is realized. So if as long as you are a realized soul, as long as you understood the concept, as long as you stay connected with that universal energy and universal force and God and all that, we whoever we think and connect it to, and that's the most important thing, because that is the connection that has to be very strong. And when that connection is strong, and sometimes, like you said, our ego comes right in between, and it says, oh, well, I'm on my own, I've got all this money now. And we don't remember, we don't realize that at that time, that God is kind of probably looking at us and kind of laughing at us and saying that, oh, you
You'll be
mediocre.
back. You'll be
Yeah,
back.
you mediocre. And sometimes people don't get back
Yeah.
because he or she, doesn't give them that second chance. But I say that there are very few people who get the second chance, and then they get reconnected to God, and then they achieve, and then you become more stronger, in your faith and in your commitment. And so, I mean, awesome, awesome.
I say, the word tells us that those who have been forgiven for much love God so
Right,
much. And so I love God so much. And when you think about, if that's the barometer that's used, that if he has to forgive you for so many different things, and when he turns you around, you love him so much because of all the things that he's forgiven you for. And
right.
so I love him, I say, more than anybody, because he's forgiven me for so many things. And
Yeah, there was a Hindu Bengali poet in 1913. He got a Nobel Prize also, called Rabindranath Tagore. And he says that I love God because he has given me the power to deny him,
mm,
you know? So you can deny him, you can say whatever, and he's like, we are the creature, and we don't understand that. And when we look deeper into our own self, even our body, and how he made everyone around us, and how he created this abundance. Look at the abundance mentality of the kind of fruits and everything that we get. And we somehow the other think that this is just a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It can be never be coincidence. I mean, this is very myopic if people think like that. And I love that what you have talked about. So tell me, if some people would like to write the book that you have written, how are you willing to teach them how to write a book or write their story?
right, I actually said I think that that's a gift that I'm going to have to use, because I love helping people translate their story into a palatable message, right?
Right.
And I love visionary writing. So I love seeing the picture as you're writing. And so I have been doing a few editing for some of my friends that'll ask me, hey, Tanisha, do you mind reading over my book before it goes to the publisher, and giving them that type of advice? So I definitely think it's something that I can look at doing. Anything that has to do with writing or speaking, it's all movies. I want my book to become a movie. I must say that I'm
Wow.
putting that out there. Daring to Love is going to be an Academy Award winning movie.
Wow.
Praying that Tyler Perry will pick it up and Taraji P will play me. I already have how my speech, everything in line, and how it's going to go when God manifests that in my life, because my testimony will give other children hope, that the lost, those that haven't heard his voice yet, those who don't know that they're
So
never
I
too
can,
far
I
away.
can, before I forget this, I can give you an idea of how you can take it to the next level.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I would say just make, it's not difficult to buy a camera or something and shoot your movie. uh, on yourself,
Hmm.
or I don't know,
Well, look, Les
you
Brown has my book now. So
yeah,
my
okay,
prayer is that Les Brown will hand the book to Tyler Perry, that's already a professional and knows how to do all
right,
that,
okay.
and make it happen that way.
But what I'm saying is that in case that if you would like to also think about that, because if that comes in chunks, you're building the audience.
Okay.
And sometimes and Les also talks about that you never know who's watching you.
Yes.
So if you have that movie and this is something that you talk about, at the background, you're talking and you're saying, and then you have like some small shoots, of the movie, and make it like a kind of 15 to 20 minutes, and say that it's coming, and this is
Oh,
what I'm
I
working
see.
on. So you
Oh,
can make a
okay.
preview of the movie.
Okay. I thought you wanted me to become a director today, which I do want to be a film director. So,
No, no, I was just
hey.
saying that if you make a preview of a
Okay.
movie, and then you can see that that movie is coming, and
Yes.
that preview goes to different people, and even Les Brown can take it to the next level. So I mean that would, I
Awesome.
think that would help.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
I will put that on my list to do. Start making a preview
yeah,
of how
because
I want my movie to come to pass. Okay.
honestly, I let me give you a little bit of an idea that when you talked about your life and a little bit, I can imagine you, like there at at the club, for example, and in reality, whatever you're doing, but inside of you, your expression of like this is like something that I'm like someone who is forced to do that, and in your heart it's like resonate the connection with God, but then you are in a different,
Hmm.
on a different arena, in a different background, and in your future, on your face, that is giving another image of how that is like a connected soul. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because he never, God would never allow me to make more than what I needed to survive. Like anytime I would say, I just want to make some extra money, I could never make extra money. I could only make enough money to pay rent, to buy food, for those basic necessities.
No,
He never,
what I'm
yeah.
saying is that, for example, if you have the scene here,
Mm-hmm.
let's say, of course, when the movie is going to be there, there's going to be a
Oh,
scene
I see
about
what you're
that.
saying. Okay.
And in that scene, whatever you're doing, you are like uh, your future flash is that how you are connecting, and the source of light is coming to you, and then in your heart you're saying, why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm surviving. I mean, I'm saying that if you give
Yeah.
that kind of a strong touch, anyway, I just
I
give it a
love
go.
it.
Yeah,
It's a great idea. And that's
yeah,
another it just shows you how God, that was something that I was so ashamed about. And when I
right.
tell people that, they're like, well, that's like really no big deal. You see Cardi B, she's like, I used to dance. Now I make money,
Uh, See,
But
the people who don't repent, that is not a good thing. Personally, I think that a person of good faith is the one who repents, and repentance is good.
yes,
Repentance
absolutely.
that takes the arrogance out of people,
Yes.
and it brings more faith. The more we become vulnerable, to God, or become, we say that, God, I made a mistake, please forgive me. So that means you get, and if I say, oh yeah, I don't care about that, everyone did that. Yeah, they did that, but then they're not connected.
Right.
Well, as
Yeah.
soon as you connect, you will have that, something that was not right, and then and then you have a happy life, you're moving and all that, and you are like a smart woman, going here and there, you got, separate office, and there comes your ego. And then all of a sudden you get a flash back to that time where you see, I'm talking about the movie that you, the
Mhm.
preview, and you
Mhm.
get, now you are in, like, in the second phase, and you've forgotten God. And and now there comes a flashback to you that connects you back to that scene, and that tells you, the voice comes to you and tells you, you remember, you connected to me. Now, when I take you out of that, and now you are in a different situation, you have forgotten me. How can you forget me? So, I mean,
Yeah.
something like that would probably, anyway, some ideas that I would love to have that movie, and that, and you doing it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you, brother. Thank
You're
you.
welcome anytime. And I'm very grateful for you for the time that you have given me and to our audience about your beautiful poem and about your life story and about, the potential. And I would definitely like to work with you, and look forward to, seeing your movie, and make sure that it is done, like, in 2021.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Don't
Yes.
delay that.
Awesome.
Don't delay that, because
Right, because people need to hear right now that God is with us today, just like He was with Moses. He's with us. You know that
right.
He's real and that He's living. That He hears even our thoughts. That's the thing that blows my mind about God. Like even when my thoughts weren't right at certain times, He would intervene with someone calling me or notifying me or texting me, and it would just show me that wow, I wasn't even praying in that moment, but God knew my thought wasn't
Right.
right. So he had someone reroute me to the right way of thinking. And so anything God tells me to do, I'm willing. Anywhere he tells me to go, I'm going. I'm just a slave for Jesus now. Whatever he
Awesome.
says
Awesome.
do, that
Awesome.
that's what I do. I'm
I
like,
love
I'm here
that.
to serve.
I love that energy. I love that energy. This is awesome. This is great. And I personally think that you shouldn't be taking too long to make your composites and make your, some of those, and I would say that the book that you have, start a blog or start like a Facebook page, and create a sensation in that page. And every time you talk about it, get some more audience into that, so that when your movie comes, you know, you are going into that path. And and then your preview comes, and the preview talks about, and make the preview like in a way that it comes like a 1 minute movie, and then comes like after a week another, and in the process,
Oh wow.
it is reaching out to people, and you you're getting a lot more audience, and let's get this like a hit movie.
Yes,
And
yes.
don't
Let's
don't
do
don't
it. Let's
forget
do
me.
it. Yes, it's all for God's glory. It is.
Yeah.
I don't care. My name doesn't even have to be on it. It's daughter of the Most High King can be at the end of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to watch that. Anyway, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Any message that you want to give? Although you've given wonderful messages, but still anything you want to talk
I
about?
just want to say that we've survived. Now it's time to thrive, and we can do anything that we put our mind to. That God is with us. He'll never forsake us. He'll never abandon us. He's not like human beings. He's loved us since eternity. And so with that kind of love that's inside of you, you can do all things. So if you want
Wow.
to reach out to me, you can contact me on my website. My website is Taneisha.com. Tanisha, Taneisha, now, NOW.com, because I always say it doesn't matter where you were in the past. You don't even know what tomorrow holds, but you got right now.
There
What are
you
you going
go.
to do in the now?
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank
And
you for
and
having
and
me.
yeah, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to talk for a couple minutes.
Okay.